probably a week or two long thing that happened. That was, a lot of stuff going on there. Mm-hmm. There's quite a few notable things. There's, my team picked up a Medal of Honor recipient, who had gotten killed, but that mission ended up getting him the Medal of Honor. There a lot of Americans died there on that deployment, and then for every American, there was probably, 10, 12 Afghans. Yeah. So, because we were supporting them too, they were fighting right alongside. So, yeah, and just, night after night, 3-4 times a night,
Yeah.
So just that constant stress, like we talked about in Colorado, that thing you shared, the death by 1,000 cuts, where
correct. It
wasn't always necessarily, I wasn't shooting people or getting shot at every night or, whatever, but just that constant stress of being on night after night after night, it does wear on you.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome aboard the Max Afterburner podcast, brought to you by the No Fallen Heroes podcast. Man, I'm in a different squadron. I'm up here in Palm Beach instead of Boca because my guest today, I was going to surprise him with a flight, but it's raining out. But we're going to get to my honored guest here in a second. Let me give you a quick debrief since the last time we talked. I just got back last night from Aspen, Colorado, and just an incredible week with some incredible people. We took the jet out there. So Matthew and I, when was that, man? Last Wednesday, we flew on Southwest out of Fort Lauderdale through Orlando into Birmingham. We jumped on a helicopter. And my guest, we're going to talk about how scary helicopters are in a couple minutes, but I'm not a big helicopter guy, man. Way too fucking many moving parts. But anyway, we got a helicopter flight from Birmingham up to Gadsden, where the jet was doing its annual inspection. And then Matthew and I four-legged it out to Aspen for a fundraiser and then to also help support Colorado Extreme. It's a hockey program that puts down a ladder to underprivileged kids and pays for their hockey. So check this out, man. If you're a hockey fan, Henrik Lundqvist was out there. Rangers, the ambassador of Madison Square Garden, the King Hall of Fame, got into the Hockey Hall of Fame recently, and I threw him in the backseat of our L-39 fighter jet. Also, Scotty Upshaw, Updog, another great hockey player, played with a bunch of teams, played for the Panthers. And what a great dude. He's on the Missing Curfew podcast. Him and Obi took both those guys flying, and it was just, what a great day. And then that night we went and saw the NHL alumni, the Colorado Avalanche alumni playing the NHL alumni. It was fantastic. We raised a lot of money for Colorado Extreme and the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. A lot of donor rides. Some folks are between Aspen and Florida a lot, so some of the folks are going to come down here to South Florida and do their flights. And then yesterday, man, I got up at the crack of dawn, Colorado time, did a live trade brief, and then 5-legged it home with Matthew. My back's killing me. So I had to do some hot yoga this morning because, folks, the L-39's got live ejection seats. It ain't an airline seat. You can't sit on cushions, or if you, God forbid, you had to eject, that cushion would, in the blink of an eye, break your legs. So, man, landed, and I got some nighttime. I don't like that, dude. I need some cheaters. I couldn't see the instrument, so Goose, my son Matthew, in the backseat helping me see last night as we got our last 2 legs at night. But anyway, man, back home, and then my special guest today, he's in town. Like I said, I wanted to surprise him with a flight, but it's wrath of God type of rain right now. So let me introduce this guy, man. And you look lighter.
Feel lighter.
Your eyes are lighter. You just look like a different human being.
Like the smile's real.
It is. Yeah. So I met Brent, and we've been talking probably for 6 months to a year. You found, let's do this. So we're in a new studio today, and I'm also lowering the average even more on this podcast by inviting an Army helicopter pilot on board. So ladies and gentlemen, Brent, my new brother, 101st.
Yes.
Screaming Eagles, man. Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
Correct.
So this guy right here, folks, he is a national hero, medevac pilot. So this guy has carried a lot of souls and carried a lot of transition souls too, right? Yeah. So tell me, Brother Brent, before we get into everything, tell us a little bit about your background in the Army, and then tell us kind of how you found No Fallen Heroes. Yeah. And before I go any further, you're out of uniform. So let's do this right now, man. You got the wrong fucking hat on. Let's go, buddy.
Man, I was asking Nicole about one of these. So.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. So man up there. So as he's putting his new lid on, and we also got he's got to put on. He doesn't have to put on right now since I'm wearing mine, and we don't look that. We got a Maverick Mind T-shirt for him as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
And then we got a couple zappers for you too, man. So Chad at Mental Joe has mailed all these out, so everybody should be getting those. And he also threw a bunch of stickers in there as well. So you got some zappers, and you got your Maverick. Look at that,
I
man.
appreciate it. Yeah,
that looks sweet.
I was super bummed because I kind of procrastinated on getting on the pre-order, and I was like, "Oh, you said it'll be back."
I was wondering. I asked Nicole. I'm like, "Does he have a shirt or a hoodie?" And she's like, "I don't know." I'm like, all right, so this is person.
Thank you very much. Absolutely
awesome. You look better. Look at that lid.
Appreciate it.
So he's looking a little better, even though he's an Army Helo guy with the merch on. So give us your background, your Army background, your experience, and then how you found No Fallen Heroes.
Yeah, so I originally enlisted 1997. I was a tank crewman for 9 years. Did 3 years active, got out, did a small stint in the Minnesota National Guard. That's where I did my first deployment. Went to Iraq in 2004, 2005. And
as a tank guy.
Yeah, but that was after the main invasion. We were all just rolling around on Humvees, so we didn't even get to take tanks over there. So just drove around, waited to get blown up in Humvees.
Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, it was kind of during that time, seeing all the aviation, and it's like, man, I really kind of miss doing this, and I kind of started. Well, I want to do something more, something better, and it just so happened an Army Times magazine said never better time to go warrant officer. So which is how most of us become helicopter pilots in the Army. Yep. Apply to flight school, become a warrant, get appointed as a warrant officer, and so talk about that might be the first start of kind of things happening. The way we've kept talking about. There's no coincidence.
God winks.
So I started that. I kind of started that process while I was in Iraq of getting my flight physical started, getting my packet started, all that kind of stuff. Ended up finally getting accepted and going to flight school down at Fort Rucker,
Alabama.
Yeah,
right?
And 2007 did warrant officer candidate school. Did my flight school, finished that early 2009. My first aviation assignment was at Fort Polk, Louisiana, doing medevac support for JRTC. Did that for about 3 years. Then went out to Fort Bliss, 1st Armored Division, did another 6 or 7 years. As a medevac guy there, did a Afghanistan deployment, the unit out there, and then ended up ultimately at Fort Campbell, 101st, and was there probably another 6 years or so. I did about 14 years of flying. Got grounded for my last little bit, as I retired or whatever. But yeah, about 6 years at 101st, and then did another Afghanistan deployment with the 101st.
Okay, so talk us through being a medevac guy in a combat theater.
So it's kind of like a lot of things. Long bouts of boredom with short bursts of everything all at once. So the first deployment I did in 2013 with the 1st Armored, that was pretty quiet. That was when we were originally trying to do the first ramp down in Afghanistan. So there was still some stuff going on, plenty of stuff going on. But the second one for sure was, timelines kind of run together. 2018, 2019, I think. At that point it was all, special operators doing kicking doors at night. So, with their Afghan counterparts and stuff like that. So there was no just like, easy roadside missions or whatever. It was middle of the night into some nasty villages, stuff like that. So
lights out.
Yeah. And it was all special operators and their Afghan counterparts. So that one definitely, after that first one, I don't think I was ready, definitely wasn't expecting that intensity, building back up. So, ended up doing a lot of missions that deployment. So,
okay. Probably saw some ugly shit.
Yeah. And I'm actually wearing the shirt right now. The FST that we were located with.
What's FST mean?
The forward surgical team, basically like the modern MASH.
MASH. Okay.
So a lot of times we're not always like living together, but we had a really good relationship. We were actually all living in the same area. So, we'd fly in, we'd do our thing, medics do their thing. The pilots would, get get blades stopped, get it gassed up. The medics were going in, and they were helping right along with the docs and stuff. And then once we get in, we were mopping blood, answering phone calls, doing whatever we could to help out. So it was a whole big team for that deployment. It was it was a bad experience for some of the people the things we had to see, but just the team was fantastic.
Well, that's what a lot of people talk about, especially veterans. We make it, or some people make it seem so patriotic, but at the end of the day, you're fighting for the gal or the guy next to you, or in your squadron, in your unit. It's that.
Yep.
I mean, home's not too far from the mind, but it's a separate world. We're on the other side of the
mission.
world.
It doesn't even matter what the mission is anymore. The mission is,
correct.
Those people you're picking up, unloading, and trying to get back to their families.
So you probably loaded up on some trauma.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Flying, and talk us through the mental and some of the physical trauma that 14 years of Army aviation.
Yeah, I mean, so even though I was a helicopter pilot, not a fixed wing guy or whatever, but just that constant stress of especially in a Black Hawk helicopter, you got 3 other crew members that you're in charge of as a pilot in command. You're flying in sandstorms, dust storms, nighttime, zero illume Afghanistan. There might not be another incandescent light bulb for 100 miles. Popping up over a 12,000 foot ridge line to spiral down to 4,000 feet into a firefight. It's stressful. Wow. And it's just night after night after night, sometimes 3, 4, 5 times a night.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, and then, some of the stuff, that deployment that happened, the siege of Ghazni, that was a big, probably a week or 2 long thing that happened. That was, a lot of stuff going on there. Mm-hmm. There's quite a few notable things. There was, my team picked up a Medal of Honor recipient, who had gotten killed, but that mission ended up getting him the Medal of Honor. There a lot of Americans died there on that deployment, and then for every American, there was probably 10, 12 Afghans. Yeah. So because we were supporting them too, they were fighting right alongside. So yeah, and just night after night, 3, 4 times a night.
Yeah.
So just that constant stress, like we talked about in Colorado. That thing you shared, the death by 1,000 cuts, where
correct.
It wasn't always necessarily, I wasn't shooting people or getting shot at every night or whatever, but just that constant stress of being on night after night after night. It does wear on you.
Yeah, man. You sit a rock right there and you drip water on it, man. Yeah. It's going to wear the rock away too.
Yeah, for eventually. Sure. And then the FOB we were at, Camp Dolke, the nickname Rocket City. So then you got waiting for that siren to go off for the rockets every night. It's like, oh, Jesus, son Christ. Of a bitch! Like
getting shot at.
Can't you just let us be alone for a minute?
Yeah, getting shot at in the air, and on the ground. That could be a little much. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't sound pleasant. Talk about the transition out from being an aviator in the Army to another asshole mowing the lawn. What was that transition like?
Yeah, so my retirement didn't really go as planned. I ended up getting grounded for some back and neck issues, like arthritis issues, stuff like that. So going on a medication for that arthritis stuff made me non-deployable. So that grounded me, and that immediately started my retirement process. So that wasn't really how I had planned it. Yeah. But I'm not gonna lie, I got kind of burnt out, and I ended up just being okay with it.
Yeah.
And but at that point, my unit had deployed again to somewhere else. So here I am after all this, all my years in, none of my people are around, basically retired by myself. I didn't get my fire trucks. I didn't get, so that kind of hurt a little bit. And then,
so your farewell was kind of like, here's a handshake.
It was a handshake from a civilian at the out processing center.
Are you serious?
That's it. That's all.
What the fuck,
so, man. And I told myself it wasn't going to bother me, and,
well, cause you have to.
Yeah. But, like as more time went on, it's like, man, that freaking sucks. It's like, but and then like how you during that whole time, fall of Afghanistan happened. That kind of like messes with your head a little bit. Like, well, great, the last 20 years were a waste of time.
Yep.
Waste of all those lives. We talked about that too. And
thousands of Americans,
Afghani. Not to mention the Afghans and everybody associated with it. And so that kind of started messing with my head. But I was trying to be positive. I decided to make a major life change and ended up settling in the Nashville area. And use my education benefits, went to culinary school, and wanted to, like I said, make a major 180-degree swing into something different. And, so did culinary school. Now I'm cooking in a restaurant, and, all that stuff had started going really well until, all those little things that I said, oh, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. And then one day it is a big deal. And it just feels like it piles on.
So if you're not familiar, folks, so aviators, we're taught to compartmentalize. We take all these, it doesn't bother me, it's insignificant, even when it is, and they build up, man. So aviators tend to have, and anybody in general, but we're really, really taught to compartmentalize. Otherwise, we're going to crash airplanes. You got 3 other crew. I love myself too much to let anything happen to me, in a single seat jet, but all that shit adds up.
Oh, yeah.
And then, man, one day you're lying there.
You hear about like guys that are, going through relationship problems. Then they forget to say something, and they put that thing nose down, and, not even thinking about it.
Correct.
Just all that kind of stress that if you don't give it attention, it can put a lot of people in danger.
So talk to us about the lows, and then talk to us about how in those lows you found the no fallen heroes.
Yeah. So like I said, things had just started really, really building, negatively for me. And, I just felt like I was, just kind of spiraling out of control. It felt like I was not in control of any of my emotions, any of my feelings. Then the drinking starts, and, using that to self-medicate, and that's not a problem until it is, and then that becomes a problem. And then, it becomes hard to regulate, so the anger comes out, my fiance, just, she bore the brunt of that. Yeah. It just got really bad. And then, recently there was 2 helicopters that, from my unit, Fort Campbell, that crashed. That's 9 people, my cohorts that are no longer with us.
In peacetime.
Yeah. In peacetime.
Peacetime
training.
Mishap.
Yep. And then, another one of my friends, similar senior Army aviator, good friend of mine, killed himself. And that's kind of just by the grace of God, just scrolling Instagram, your podcast popped up, and like, that sounds interesting. And I think I got on the website right there, and put my information down, and I didn't hear anything. I was like, well. Probably went to somebody else. That's fine. There's other people that need it more than me.
Oh yeah.
There's other people that need it more than me. There's other people that need it more than me.
My trauma's not.
Other people, They like, I've done enough, but there's a lot of people that have done way more, kind of thing. And, you keep telling yourself that, and you keep pushing it down, and, even though it just starts getting heavier and heavier and heavier now. But then it got to a point, I'd kind of almost forgotten about it. And, it was still, I was still kind of following the podcast, but I was like, okay, they probably didn't have very many resources. Yeah. So somebody else, they sent it to somebody else that needed it more. And I was fine with that, And then just so happened, got an email from Nicole. It's like, hey, it's a short notice thing, but we have a spot available. If you're available, I'd like to have a call with you on Monday or whatever, something like that. And, so I waited around, like, that'd be great. And she ended up not being able to call me right away. I was like, oh, she missed like our appointment or whatever. And then she texted me after that. I was like, don't worry about it. Like, give it to somebody else. Like, somebody else needs it, Like, I don't, it's okay, and I almost tried to give up on that. She wouldn't let me.
She will not let you.
And so we ended up rescheduling our appointment the next day. And I don't know if I've cried so much as I did in that phone call with her, like in the last 2 years before that, just, trying to push everything down, and just like, it just, for the first time, it felt like everything was going to be okay. It felt like finally something was gonna happen for me. I wasn't sure what, and like, it was scary. Like, I was like, okay, I don't know what this is about. I don't know what's gonna happen. And but there was also still something like just so comforting with that phone call with her, that just feeling like, okay, something is gonna happen, something's gonna change.
So I want to stop here and point out to folks, because I like pointing out the pre-whiz and the post-whiz medicine. That pre-whiz, if I'd heard this sentence, I would have kicked my own ass. Post-whiz, it's the truth. The second you agree to heal or to do the medicine, things change.
Yeah.
And that happened to you.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's fantastic. That makes my heart smile.
And like, just because it was a pretty short notice thing. I think it was maybe 8 or 9 days before the trip.
Yeah.
That we started getting into the work. And
she called me. She's like, hey, this guy, I'm like, yeah, let's go. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah.
So she's like, you need to get immediately into the homework. Go, here's your journal. Here's your assignments. Here's your stuff. We got 3 more, phone appointments that we need to do at least, and like, again, I don't know if I've, that's more tears than I've cried my whole life. Just being able to feel comfortable with like getting it out there.
Feeling comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah. And,
how is this was the case for me. Was it the case for you? The pre-work, the pre-flight preparation was therapeutic in and of itself.
Oh,
being forced to
100%.
Good.
Cause I've tried to journal in the past, and things like that, cause I had started to see a therapist here. Oh, I was like, get a journal. Just help put your thought, but like with her giving, like setting, those intentions of here's what I want you to do. Like introduce yourself to the medicine, introduce yourself to your journal, introduce yourself to yourself again, stuff like that. And, I mean, it just all started coming out. Like,
that's great.
I should have got one of those Write in the Rain books. Cause I'm sure I cried all over that freaking journal too,
That's so great to hear, man. That makes my heart smile. The pre-work is so critical, and Nicole's fantastic.
Oh,
she's, have 5 intentions for the medicine or 5 questions. And I remind people, I'm like, I treat every medicine experience like a combat mission, deadly serious.
Absolutely.
This isn't Brent, come to Colorado and let's do some shrooms. This is a combat mission.
Oh yeah, and then just the phone calls we had, probably talked, 6-7 hours total, just on the phone, which, just what she was able to help me, understand in myself of what, figuring out what you actually need for yourself. That was the first part, even though, you're feeling like shit, you're feeling like crap, something's got to change, but trying to figure out what it is that you actually need for yourself.
Yeah.
And I did that. And it felt good. And again, it felt like, okay, something big is going to happen here, and something is, things are going to be okay, I think, and man, I just, for those 8 days couldn't come fast enough until I got on that plane to, Colorado, and it's just been on the way up from there.
That's awesome. Okay. So pre-work in the books. I land in beautiful Montrose, Colorado, and I meet you for the first time, and Coco for the first time. And it could not be more complimentary of, you look like a different person from meeting you in the airport. I'm like, man, this guy's hunched over and he's carrying a lot, and you look completely different. So talk to us about, and as much as you want to, about the journey. Let's start with the psilocybin.
Sure.
And then we'll go to the 5-MeO DMT. Talk us through your experience. For now, it's still a little bit of an undisclosed location in Colorado, but we're getting ready, for lack of a better word, getting ready to come out of the closet and fully go on the radar. But talk us through the psilocybin experience, your heroic dose with psilocybin.
Yeah. So starting off with that, like the 3 things, I asked the medicine in my journal that I wanted out of that experience was find peace, in my head and, in my heart, to be able to love again, just realizing that, you can say the word to your significant others and all that stuff, but like knowing that you've kind of lost that capacity, like to feel it and to give it and to, and then, man, I just wanted to get my pride back, because, it's that whole retirement process. It just made me feel like everything I did was a waste of time, waste of life, waste of everything. Like, it was like, I completely made a mistake by, giving my life to that career. Showing up, starting off with that, with the psilocybin, just feeling like the first thing that really came to mind was, but the day before we had done the actual ceremony, we were pulling our spirit animal cards, and I got the eagle, that was the start of my, my pride coming back. But I got the eagle card, and, just like everything, there's no coincidences. Yeah. So, once I really got into the medicine and, the Dr. J's playlist, it was just speaking right to me. It was, and I've gone back and listened to that playlist. It just sounds like, it just sounds like regular drums now, but like, hearing that, what I was hearing, just hearing those eagle wings flapping, whoosh, 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 for 2 hours in the background while, everything else is happening, and I just felt like I'm the eagle, like I am the eagle, and I just kept saying it to myself over and over. And like, it just felt like my pride was coming back like instantly,
or that shell was melting.
Yes.
To show you who you never lost your pride.
Right.
It just got fucking fogged over.
But yeah, something. Yeah. And then that kind of gave way into like a more, I feel like a universal kind of feeling, I am everything and I am nothing all at once. I am infinite and I am microscopic, and that's my part into everything. And just because that's when the clouds had kind of started to break a little bit. Because it was it was a cloudy night, but starting to see some of the stars come out, and it's feeling like every single star is every single soul that has ever lived, lives now, and will ever live ever again. And just feeling like you're seeing every single one of that, and just. I think you had a similar experience where you said you no longer feel feared death because you can see everybody, you can feel everybody. Yep. and just started to feel that connection, and then that's where I really felt like I got that message from God. He's like, okay, dummy, do you see it now? Like I've been trying to tell you this, I've been here for you. I've been trying to tell you, it's like a cosmic, a divine ear flick. I think I said that before when we were talking, but it's like, do you get it now? I was like, yeah, I get it. And then that's kind of I feel like when, a lot of the other things started to happen, where I was able to process things one by one. Cause the thing about mine is I didn't have any of like those traumatic events processing in my journey, like, Mr. Chicken did. I felt like I had been fighting with that stuff in my head for so long that I knew that wasn't what I needed to process.
Yes.
So then that's when I felt like it got into everything. My relationships, my peace, like I just felt at peace. I felt like I didn't have to be uncomfortable anymore. I felt like, cause it was chilly and it was like, I don't need my coat. But like, I felt like every time I shed something, like I got cold, and but I would like, it's okay to put your jacket on. It's okay to put a blanket on. Nicole would come over. I don't know if you remember, I was trying to put my jacket on. And I was trying to zip it up myself. And it's like, hey, are you trying to do this by yourself right now? It's like, it's okay to ask for help. Yes.
Yes.
And it just kind of felt like process one thing, shed it, process one thing, shed it, process one thing, shed it. And just feeling lighter and lighter and lighter, like the whole way. And,
I remember you saying, I think you and Chicken, I got it.
Oh yeah, that was me. It was like, okay, I got it. I got it. And it's
the group dynamic was so incredible because I think everybody was feeling what everybody was feeling at that exact moment. Because I was like, did I say that?
Right.
Did that come out of my mouth? I'm like, no, that was somebody else. But I felt that.
Yep.
God, spirit, truth, divine, whatever word you want to use. We all kind of got the message at the same moment.
We were plugged in with USB cables all around that
Correct.
fire. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, I got it. Okay.
I get this. I got it. I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Which is still hard to put into words.
Yeah, I know. People listening are like, what the fuck are they talking about?
But, just feeling like you are God, God is you are infinite, and you are love, and it's everywhere, and it's all right inside of you, and it's everywhere else you could ever be again. And it was just.
Now, did you ever think those type of words would come out of your mouth?
Hell no.
Army, aviation, a naval, I'd be like, I'd kick my own ass, right? To be able to say those things.
And, and even feeling like, before the tough days started, still always feeling like I was a good person growing up, I had a good family growing up, but never feeling like I'd be able to say that.
Correct.
Crunchy bullshit. It was like, like
to put
whatever,
it in words.
Like, you're making this shit up. Like that's not a real feeling, but then to feel that, seeing, the infrastructure of the universe unfold in front of you.
Yep.
Like what an incredible, amazing,
the sacred geometry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like Neo in the Matrix.
Yep.
And seeing behind all of this
Everything.
stuff.
Yeah.
God being able to like pull the curtain back and go, I made some pretty cool shit. Do you appreciate it?
Right.
And you're like, yeah, man, I got it.
And
very powerful.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, I'm trying to, even though there are some words like to you know, describe that feeling, you know, it's just, there's still no more words. There's not enough words.
The SAT word that I learned after my ibogaine experience is ineffable, which means you can't put it into words.
Right.
So I'm glad you talk like this, because if there is another Army guy or gal out there, like, okay, this guy is me and I trust him, and him talking like this, it makes me, the medicine calls to you,
right.
As you know, it calls to you. So if it even in the back of your mind is inkling a little bit, it probably is calling to you.
Right.
If this makes no sense to you and it ain't calling you, it's not.
Exactly.
And you might be great, but there are, as I mentioned a lot of times, these medicines are radical therapy. You and I were radical dudes in our careers. Okay, so, and it was cool because clouds parted, moon came out.
Oh, man.
And then it started drizzling.
Yeah.
And it was perfect because it was cleansing.
And we all felt that. We all felt like it was just God's tears just washing all that crap away. And like, I even tried to stay out. I think everybody else had started moving, and, you know, I was like, okay, it's just, I was trying to stay out just a little bit longer until it really opened up. But,
I did the same thing. I was like, I just stood there with my face up and the tears washing away the guilt, the shame, the drugs, the alcohol, and cleansing. It felt so good. And then you're right. It really opened up. We're like, all right, let's go inside.
Because, you know, I remember shedding a lot of tears, you know, for a lot of stuff, you know, in that, was about 4 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Never really, I don't think there was ever really a negative tear that came out, because it was just every new experience that would come in was just, you know, something positive and amazing. And it was love, you know. It's love for this. It's love for that. It's love for you. It's love for you. It's love for you, because you deserve love.
Yeah.
Like, you've given enough love, or you've tried to, you've given yourself to, you know,
take your country,
take some love.
You've given your pound of flesh.
Yeah. Starting to, not starting to feel that, you know, I'm actually feeling that, you know, you know, I feel like I've done enough. You know, and just like we all have, like, that was our big thing. Like, there's no, what do we call it? Trauma competition or
trauma shaming.
Yeah. Trauma shaming,
trauma
or, you know,
grading,
anything like that. You know, everybody's got their own experience, and
correct.
Which is why that medicine works for everybody.
Per that person.
Yes.
You get your own, everybody gets their own individualized journey.
But I feel like without doing that homework with Nicole, and, you know, by yourself with setting those intentions, I definitely would not have gotten that same experience.
Yeah.
It would have just been...
Well, and now you can see how some people, quote, have a bad trip or whatever. I'm like, did you do 3 briefing calls? Did you journal? Did you come up? Oh, no, I just kind of did some shrooms and did whatever. I'm like, duh.
Yeah.
So if you treat the medicine with the respect it deserves and the healing capabilities of it, ain't nothing going to be negative about it.
Right.
If you kind of fuck with it, it's going to fuck with you.
Absolutely.
Don't cross the streams, man. You do good with it.
Because, I definitely would not have gotten what I needed had I not opened myself up to telling myself what I needed, letting, you know, God tell me what I need, you know, and then, so like one of the last things in my experience that I remembered was, you know, because my relationship's been pretty rough, you know, it's been really hard on her. You know, a lot of us have gone through that. Just our significant others put up with a lot of stuff.
Saints.
Absolutely. And so I had this like tin picture of it, you know, I ordered it on Amazon, but it was just printed on like a little tin thing. But I brought it with me, and I remember I was holding on to it, and I rolled over and I felt it bend. I was like, she can bend, but don't break her. You know, it's like,
wow.
And, you know, I remember having that, and just the tears that came out of that, understanding how hard how it had been on her, you know, for all the bending, but she still hasn't broken yet, you know, or at least I hope she hadn't. So I'm actually tearing up at it right now.
I get it, brother.
But like, that was like my the last thing really that I needed for myself was, you know, before the rain came, before we all went in, you know, we were all winding down or whatever, but, it was just a beautiful moment. And, you know, if even if, God doesn't have us together in his plan or whatever, at least I felt so much appreciation for her that, I hope one day she'll listen to this and feel that too, so at least know that. So,
well, brother, if you lead with your heart and your truth, it's impossible to fail.
Absolutely. And
God, the universe, whatever, everything that's meant for you is yours. Right. And if it ain't, God ain't going to provide that. Right. So, but the fact that, I always use this analogy, but it's the truth. You put the mask on yourself first, and you did.
No, and that was that. Yeah, we all talked about that in Colorado. And it's the perfect analogy for what that is. Yeah, for sure.
So after you put the mask on yourself, you can help others. All right, so transformational, powerful. The next day in our dome and kind of walking around. Talk to us about the Discovery Day. Were you still getting downloads? Did you sleep? Did you laugh? You cry? What happened on the Discovery Day?
I didn't really sleep that well because there was just, just talk about like cosmic caffeine or whatever is going on in your head. There's just,
I'm going to use that.
There's just so much energy going through your brain at that time, and just,
you're like a kid Christmas morning. You're like, everything's new.
Yeah.
Things are fresh. Yep.
And I don't think I really remembered other additional things, but just being able to understand why I experienced what I experienced, some of that stuff, processing, a divorce with my ex-wife, 10 years ago, because I never really did anything with, just like all of us, we don't go to therapy for anything like that. So, I never took the time to process that stuff. So that got a few minutes and I remembered that and, that, and then that was gone. And, there were just kind of recalling some of those, okay, that actually did happen. And and there's a lot of stuff. It doesn't need a whole lot of time during that journey.
Sure.
It just needs to be recognized and let go.
Yeah. Well, and looking at some of those things with quote, a new set of eyeballs, with a cleaner set of eyes is pretty cool. All right. So Discovery Day, getting all that stuff. Let's talk through the toad, the 5-MeO.
But the last thing on the Discovery Day is just that first feeling where I've just felt lighter.
Yeah.
That was a big,
well, I'm telling you, man, you, Chicken, Coco, Doc, you all looked lighter, right? I mean, I sat with the medicine too. I not that I'm Super Joe experienced, but I loved watching you all because I could from a different perch. It's interesting being a little bit more of a flight instructor now that you have experience with it. You put the ladder down, you're going to be able to Jedi master people. Okay, so talk to us through the toad and explain it like people don't even know what that is.
So the toad was interesting. Not at all what I was expecting, but just that's why you guys kept reinforcing all weekend. It gives you what you need, not what you want, so, but, just hearing of other people's experiences that was, I kind of had an idea of what was going to happen. And my experience wasn't like that at all. It was very, very calm, very, very internal. And very peaceful. And so we did 3-4 rounds of it, something like that.
Yeah, he did a couple
ramp up,
2 or 3 handshakes, little step up, and then big.
Because I remember to the point where after the first 2, I was like, "Did I get enough? Did I get the same as him?" Because he's having a much different experience. Chicken was going through some stuff, and but then I had another, internal relationship thing where, just trying to get comfortable rolling on my right side, and it was super painful. And, just realizing that's the way that I would lay in bed with my fiance if I was going to face her, and knowing that how crappy I've felt in the last 2 years, just feeling like I didn't deserve to face her, and then just, understanding why that was, why I never slept on my right side, because I did not feel deserving to, be next to her, a lot of times, at least in that moment, feeling like that. And then just, that eyeball of truth. I think I totally, that was the only visual thing that I had from that eyeball of truth just came right, from the dollar bill, that big. And then, just feeling that go away. And, I sat there and cried for about 10, 15 minutes while we were kind of in between our sessions or whatever. And it just, that really got me. And I think by the last one, where it was another I got it moment, because the last thing I asked for was peace. And like, that's all the toad gave me, was just that ultimate feeling of peace, a clear, calm mind, like the slowest it's ever been in, years, just.
Yeah. And
then I remember everybody left the room and you guys just sat there and let me be for shit. I don't even know how long it was, 20, 30 minutes, maybe. But just y'all just left me sit there with my peace, and it was the most beautiful feeling. So like that's what at the start of it, not expecting or doing what I was expecting, but then realize, making it gives you what you need, not what you want. So having that revelation, that understanding of what it was doing for me, by the time we were done, is like, I get it.
You definitely had the aha towards the end. You're like, I got it. But it was another I got.
But then, that's when I got up and gave you a big hug, and you told me I won, because I was like, I've been fighting a war with myself for so long, which is that peace that I was looking for. It's like, you won.
Yeah, you won.
Like, and I honestly and completely felt that and believed it, and still do. And I'm actually getting that feeling again right now, just talking about it, because that is one of the best physical feelings I've ever had in my life, is just that peace and that understanding of what just happened. It was just absolutely amazing. Like,
I think the powerful thing about these medicines, and I'm glad you talked about your experience, because again, you listen to my podcast 7, the flip in the bed. Yeah. Like, I didn't fucking flip. I've held space for a lot of people doing the toad, and some people giggle, some people cry, some people get up and scream. I did a flip.
Yeah.
Everybody's is going to be different. Right. That's why, sometimes I hesitate to even tell about my medicine experiences, but the fact that you and I talk like this give people at least a sense.
Yeah.
If they had no clue, man, and then they get hit with a flip, they're going to be like, well, thanks for the brief.
Right.
But that, just like you on my toad, it was a peace I've never felt before.
Right.
And that's, I was about to say should be. There's no should be. It is. It is our default mode. But we got life. We got wife, kids, this, job, work, There's so much shit that layers on top of us. But after a medicine experience like this, or if you can find your mindfulness practice, not that you're supposed to grade your meditations, if I'm in it, I'm back to that toad experience. Yeah. And it's like it's my blankie. I'm able to touch God real quick and go, okay, you're still there. Yep. That's our default mode, man. But this fucking Army, aviation, war, job, stress, kids, the X, layer. But the fact that you've seen that you can fucking zip and disintegrate all of that and go to your default mode.
To know that I'm capable of it, to know,
the power is within you. Yeah. You can get to that moment. Absolutely. And you can do walking meditation. You can be walking and just go inside. Instead of being in our minds now, you and I have the capability to step out and then look at us and go, dude, you're fucking in it, man. Pull out the nosedive or something like that. As opposed to being in the airplane and spiraling into the dirt, Because
like we talked about in the car, meditation's still something that I'm working towards, because, there's, like I said, there's some other check engine lights that I got to work on first. But,
you got it. But guess what? They call it a meditation practice.
Yes.
They don't call it a medication right. Or meditation execution.
So that, that's my next big goal is to get that, and, at least try to understand that a little bit, to keep maintaining, that mindfulness and, that openness and that peace.
I got to tell you, dude, I grab, after every medicine experience, I take that playlist and I meditate to it. Like dude, when I close my eyes now to meditate, Dr. Jeremy's playlist, dude, I'm fucking back in Colorado and I'm in it. Yep. So try that. Now, so we got the pre-flight out of the way. We got the flight out of the way. Let's go with the debrief. Get back to Nashville. First of all, when we took our pictures before we left the ranch, I'm telling you, Coco, Doc, Jamie, and Chicken, you look like different people, especially Chicken, dude. One of the first guys in the door at fucking Columbine, man. Well, that guy was carrying. So you both were. It looked like you were co-carrying shit.
Oh yeah,
you both.
He said he almost kept driving down the street because he didn't want to come in. Remember when he?
Oh, that's right. He's like, I'm like, I'm not going to go do this.
But yeah, he
put the blinker on and made a turn, man. Yep. Isn't that great? So looking lighter, got to the airport, and it was so cool. What, 4 days later?
Yeah.
I met Brent sitting there in front of the fireplace or the Montrose thing in front of Army F-18s and helos. And he's a completely different dude. You look lighter, you're smiling, your eyes were brighter. Now let's go through the debrief. Land in Nashville. Talk to us through your integration, talking to Nicole, or how's your integration going?
It's going great. And I use this term with her too, and we talked about a little bit about it. But that first 2 weeks, just like I said, your battery feels like it's about 120%, charge. If it's a honeymoon phase, you want to do everything every minute that you can. Like you're feeling so positive and
great to be alive.
Yes, like let's get to work. Let's do it. And that does happen at least for me for a while. But that's where you start building new habits, at least finding out what habits you're capable of or what you want or what you need to keep going on with, what is working for you, because I was trying to do so much stuff, ice baths, back into exercise, back into a diet. Cause I think I talked about like, I work in a restaurant and shit, I'd go all day without eating. But actually waking up feeling physically hungry again.
I remember you sending me texts like, dude, I'm like eating again for the first time. So
there's that stuff. So like, it's kind of like a exploratory time to just start trying out everything that you think you might want, in your life at that point.
And ditching shit you don't want.
All while pushing away, some old stuff. And, but then you kind of about 2-3 weeks into it, just kind of feeling like, okay, this isn't sustainable to keep going at this pace.
Full throttle.
Yeah, but
gonna run out of gas.
But but then that's and you kind of hit like a low point for a week or so, 10 days, where I was like, man, am I doing this right? Am I doing enough?
Yeah, am I failing?
Am I honoring the medicine enough with what I'm doing? Should I be doing more or should I be doing less?
Yeah, little guilt. Yeah,
but then it kind of comes in where less is okay. Like. Less is you, less is, just keep doing something. So now I feel like, cause we're a little over a month out.
Yeah.
From,
was that middle of October? End of October.
It's like, right. Yeah. Very end of October, but now it kind of levels out and, like for that kind of stuff, I feel okay with taking time for myself. If I'm tired or if I'm this or if I'm hungry or like, it's okay to not have to do all those things, those new habits that you were trying to do, as long as you're not going back to the old shit, as long as you're keep moving forward. And, that's where I am right now. But all while, my mind just feeling better and better, anger going away, depression going away, anxiety going away, which is 1000% gone right now.
Wow.
I was on 2 medications for that and now I haven't taken them in forever.
Hey, Big Pharma, did you hear that?
Yeah.
God apparently put things on this planet for us to heal.
Right.
That don't cost a shitload of money. They're free. And man, that's incredible.
With these kind of side effects.
Exactly. Not like an hour commercial where you can shit yourself. You can commit suicide. I mean, here are the drawbacks to this medicine.
If you're allergic to health, don't take this health. And
if you are breathing, do not take this medication.
Right. Yeah. And like, how sad is that?
Dude, that's fucking epic, man. Yeah. That makes my heart smile. And I'm glad you... because this ain't all sunshine and lollipops. No. Like you said, I'm not going to repeat mine, but 30, 60, 90. 30, everything's great. I'm hugging trees. 30 to 60. Why is that guy homeless? Why there war? I'm failing. I'm not living up to the medicine. And then 60 to 90, I got it.
And it's not just about like learning new habits. It's about, still learning about yourself, finding, some of those triggers that can put you right back into some of that stuff. Finding, I've completely stopped listening to like, all that old ass depressing music that I thought was therapeutic for me because it was like, it just things like that. And, but the learning's not done. It's just every day I feel like I'm discovering, more about myself.
Yeah.
Feeling just better about myself, not feeling selfish about, taking time or doing things for myself or feeling like I deserve this or, it's just, it's incredible.
I'm so glad you said that too, man, because I say this often, beware Chambros and all sorts of stuff. The more medicine work I do, the less I know.
Yeah.
And that's a comforting feeling. That might like sound scary to some, like, oh no, I'm like, I enjoy that.
Yeah.
The more layers that come off, I'm like, dude, the less I know. So if you're listening to anybody who's like, I'm an expert in the medicine, fucking run as fast as you can.
Because the need and the stress and, I'm kind of realizing, that stuff's not going to go away. It's just going to be a different layer after you peel that top one off. Then now's your next mission. Like now's your next one.
Correct.
It's just
I think you and I, aviators, we're wired in the sense of if we're in it, we're in it. But now when I get in it, I can step outside of me. Old me, I'd be in it and I'd fucking spiral and crash and bad, whatever, drugs, alcohol, stupidity. Now I'm like, dude, out of it. What are you doing, man? Yeah. I'm almost bipolar. And the good me is like, dude, you're going to get through it. Yep. My Beautiful Brides podcast, episode 33, it's fine. Yep. It's always fine. Even in the highs or the lows, guess what? It's fine, man. That's that feeling of calmness and peace. Being
able to catch those things before they turn to anger, before they turn to like anxiety. Like anxiety's stupid. Like I saw this thing the other day, like there's only 2 days a year you can't do anything. That was yesterday and tomorrow. Like that's like, but once, like I didn't understand that shit,
What'd you say in the car before I forget?
Be patient with becoming the person you've never been before.
Wow.
And I wish that was mine. I saw it somewhere else, but like that, that's like that really captures what I was just trying to say about, that reintegration process coming home.
I'm going to whiz all over that, so to speak. Be patient with becoming the person you always were, but forgot you were.
Yeah.
On that medicine, when you're over there in your blankie going, I got it. And I'm like, did I say that?
Yeah.
Because I agree with that. It reminded us of who we actually are.
Right.
Your strength, your power. I told you, you're fucking badass. That text you sent me, like, dude, I was a shit hot aviator, man. Stand up for that shit, man. But I was getting goosebumps when you're like fucking spiraling down hills at night, no illumination. I'm like, you're fucking nuts. Yeah. I thought I was nuts landing aboard the boat at night. You're a little nuttier. So stand in that shit, man.
And I'll actually,
I'll say Army aviators suck. They're awful. They're barely on our side, but no, at least
the helicopter does all the work anyways.
Exactly. Dude, they scare me. But no, stand in that shit. The fact that you the Eagle and the 101st, dude, that just makes me so happy. Final part of the debrief. Are you microdosing at all? Has that called to you? Are you thinking about it?
Yeah, so I found just a series of supplements on my own, just for because I'm pretty sure I have the undiagnosed ADHD, just like most of us probably do. But I found some stuff that really helped calm my mind, some amino acids and a different like medicinal mushroom supplement. But then, through Dr. J with, some of his products, still.
Shameless plug, microdoses.
Yep, there you go.
Maverick Mind.
There you go. So about 3 days a week, I'm taking that stuff. I haven't been taking it every day, just because I want to keep stepping it up, trying it out and seeing where it goes with that. But
good.
I've never felt better in my life. So.
Oh my God, man, dude. Well, how do you end any higher on a high note? I've never felt better in my life, dude. That's fantastic. Yeah. So appreciate you doing this, man.
I appreciate you having me here. Yeah.
I wish we could have gone flying, but this is actually better because we can fly whenever. I'd rather have you in the studio because I love talking like this. Advice to a fellow Brent or Brentetta listening to this, if they're thinking about this, how would you put the ladder down? To words of wisdom to somebody like, after hearing this guy, it might be calling me. What would be some lessons learned?
Trust that gut first, that if you're even thinking about it, you probably need it. Mm-hmm. There's nobody else that needs it more than you. They just have a different experience than you. But if this person doesn't need it any more than you do, or you don't need it less than this person, so don't feel bad about it.
And we talked about the trauma grading or shaming.
Yeah.
Dude, if something's bothering you and you got trauma, it's bothering you and you got trauma. Yeah. Don't compare to you or Whiz or anybody else, man. It's you.
But also trust the process, but you have to do the work, kind of like what we were talking about in the car. Like sometimes hope comes with people thinking they don't actually have to do the work. I just hope I'll get better. I'll hope something's going to change. I hope no, you have to, if you want to use that word or, whatever, you be prepared to do some of that work yourself. And because it's not fun. It's not fun to get into a journal and be honest with yourself. And that's another thing, be honest with yourself. Be honest with your loved ones.
There's a reason we call this work too. It's not called easy. It ain't called fun.
Right.
We say you got to put in the work. And if you ain't putting in the work, it's probably not going to happen. If you're just going to sit on your ass and pray, God will listen to those prayers, but God also is putting a lot of shit around you. Pick it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take the controls.
But if you have loved ones around you, be honest with how you're feeling, because I spent months, almost years, not telling anybody that, I often thought about killing myself,
Yeah.
I thought about this, I think it was yesterday. Like, how this is how distorted your reality gets is when you're praying for God to take you versus praying to God to help you.
Oh man.
It's like, man, just like,
wow.
Will you just give me the strength to end this right now? And then how distorted is that though? And
give me the strength to stay.
Yeah. Give me the
fight.
Yeah.
To get up.
Yeah. But like that's how distorted, when you get into that like downward spiral.
You. Correct. You feel that's
you just
easier.
want it to, just want it to end.
Oh man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the easier way out. But folks, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, there is a way out of suffering, of pain. One more time, I have to tell you, this is one healing modality. Real quick, talk to us before the medicine, EMDR. What other stuff did you try before the medicine found?
Oh yeah, I had done some. I got in to see. I think it was just a clinical social worker at Fort Campbell. It was like an Army provided one. We did some EMDR stuff, and that was effective with, some of those traumatic memories and stuff like that.
Okay, good.
And, all that does is, you don't forget it, whatever. It just goes into your tote bin. And, if you ever need to access it, it's there, but it's not hurting you anymore. So I've done some of that. And, when I did retire, I did get into the VA, and they had started that community care program where if they didn't have providers, they would send you somewhere to a civilian. Yeah. And I found a great therapist, and she had started to help me. And I thought I was doing some good work. Looking back, it probably wasn't enough on its own. Mm-hmm. But it was at least a start. I was trying to get there, trying to start some stuff. But then just because of, contracts or whatever, she ended up having to leave whatever that office was. So at that point, the VA had contacted me. He's like, "Oh, we have more providers now, so you can come to the VA." So I gave that a shot, and it's like, "Oh, every 8 weeks, here's your appointment."
Every 8 weeks.
Yeah, here's your bag of medicine, and here's your appointments, and I tried that once or twice, and I was like, "This is just not enough." Like, and I have no ill will to the VA, to the providers. They're doing the best they can with the protocols that they're allowed.
Agreed.
Just that whole process it's not enough.
So the reason I asked you that is because this is a healing modality. There are all sorts of ways. Talk therapy on a couch, EMDR, yoga, meditation, climbing to a mountain in Nepal in flowing robes. There are healing modalities out there. This healing modality is a pretty, it ain't for the faint of heart.
Right.
And it's work. Before I forget, before we head on out, yesterday, driving from Aspen to Rifle to fly home, I saw on the news that MAPS, the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Science, filed officially with the FDA for MDMA as a therapeutic drug. I hate using the word drug, but medicine. There we go. I just fixed it, which is epic. I mean, Rick Doblin from MAPS is a gift from God. This guy's been in this dogfight for 30 fucking years. Wow. 2017. It's a breakthrough therapy. 6 years later, here we are. Right. So allegedly from yesterday, the FDA has 60 days. I don't know what the fuck they do for 60 days to decide if they're going to fast track this, which would be 6 months, or standard, which is 10 months. So
if there's two options, why isn't there just the fast track option?
Yeah. Yeah. But based on everything, I'm pretty sure hopefully it's going to get fast tracked. So I'm sticking with my prediction of the middle of next year, 2024, that MDMA is going to be therapeutic use. The DEA is going to reschedule it. Just absolute crime. I'm not going to get on my high horse that it was whatever, man.
Yeah.
It's coming. But as you and I, it's heartbreaking. As we did the hour podcast we did, 1 or 2 veterans ain't no longer with us. Right. It's devastating, let alone active duty numbers or first responder numbers, dude. It's a horror. So MAPS with their 2 phase 3 trials, the first phase 3 trial, 67% of PTS people in the study were clinically healed, 0 symptoms.
Right.
Let's do it again. Let's find harder cases, untreatable, 71%.
Right.
It's insanity that, I mean, Joe Biden, if you're fucking listening, dude, like stroke of a pen, you could be saving lives. But anyway,
I mean, it's criminal.
I'm bringing this up because if lying under the stars in the middle of a ranch in Colorado ain't your speed, and going through some, he and I were in it, there's help coming.
Right.
So don't give up. If you've ever tried MDMA recreationally, it can be awesome. Imagine it in a therapeutic setting and doing homework with Nicole and coming in with intentions. It can be because people are like, oh, MDMA, I took it at a concert. I'm like, what, dude, this is like a healing couch.
Yeah, right.
But you do you, but we're using this to heal veterans. So man, I am so bullish on 2024. Yeah. I hope as you continue your integration, maybe you want to be a flight instructor, join a No Fallen Hero someday. I think that would be fantastic. I know you're talking to some guys on the back channel who are thinking about the medicine. So I appreciate you doing that.
Absolutely. Like anything I can do to help. It's just the amount of gratitude for everybody involved with this is, from everybody I met, it's just been wonderful. I've never met better people.
Yeah.
Between my fellow retreaters and our space holders and you and Nicole and everybody at the ranch and it just truly gifts from God, honestly. But just on one more note, I did go back and find that therapist that was really helpful to me, paying out of my pocket for that. So because she is familiar with my background and she is on board with the medicine I did. Like I don't think she's actually done it yet, but she's open to it and it helps talk about it. And so the reason I chose to stick with her is because I think it does keep holding me accountable. And, and they are, and if you find a good one that knows you, they are good at bringing more stuff out of you, which I've found helps. Perfect. It's more stuff that I can identify and work on and fix.
Dude, I love that. Yeah. That makes my heart smile. I'm glad you went back and gave him a debrief too. Hey, oh, that's good.
Yeah. She's great. So
she'll be able to actually say, hey, I have this client who did this. Maybe it'll be appropriate for you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So
dude, you save or change one person, the world's a better place.
Absolutely.
So, awesome, my brother. I love you, man. Thanks for coming.
Love you too. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, hey, merch, man. Your Maverick Mind shirt there. You got your No Fallen Heroes hat. There's you got some zappers. I think Chad, because these things are I can touch my own. These are screened and each color is one screen, and these things are epic. So
yeah, they're nice.
It's interesting because social media people are like, hey, where did we get these? We're like, dude, he already cleaned the screens and moved on to the next run. So I promise, and Chad, I know you're going to listen. We need to do another run of these because these are going to be flying around the country, and we really appreciate all the work you and your beautiful bride do. So thank you, Chad.
Absolutely.
And that's a wrap, man. Look at that, 59. 42, 40. Man, I'm going to go right through the bullseye at 60 minutes. McKay, you seeing that? This. Oh, I went over?
I started the.
Oh, jackass. All right, folks. Well, on that note, I thought I was going to end it right at 60. Look at that, 1 hour. There you go. All right, folks, have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. Fights on. Namaste and Basi. Whiz and Brent out.
Thank you, everybody.